Right, the speculation can end. The drama is over. Will Jim Harbaugh return to the NFL? Will he return to Michigan? On Sunday, the university announced that the two parties agreed to a 4-year contract extension. So Jim Harbaugh, at least on paper, will be the University of Michigan football coach for at least the next 4 years. The contract details are a little interesting. Reduction in base pay from $8 million to $4 million, but with $4 million in incentives. So if he earned all the incentives, he would get back up to $8 million, which I think is still a little less than what he was earning under his old contract. So, my initial take on it is that it is very Michigan friendly, but it's fair. So I have to give Ward Manuel credit for having the guts to put a contract like that in front of Jim Harbaugh. Maybe they negotiated together. I doubt it. It sounds like this is something that Ward Manuel put together, and Jim Harbaugh had it sitting on his desk over the last month and was seeing if there's any NFL interest before he was going to sign it, or maybe he was going to sign it all along, and he's comfortable with that, and maybe he is. He's always said all along that he was going to re-sign. He did. So to Jim Harbaugh's credit, what he's said all along actually came to fruition. So he was kind of a man of his word from that respect. And he even noted in the press release that the contract reflects his commitment to delivering on the field or something like that. So again, I think it's a Michigan friendly, but it's also fair. Jim Harbaugh wasn't living up to the old contract. He was not earning $8 million a year by his performance on the field. I think he was the third highest paid coach behind like Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban. I mean, come on, are you kidding me? So, now that that's over with, I really think the attention turns now to putting a good championship caliber product on the field, which is going to be very tough. I think Harbaugh, what he's doing now is really fighting for, or what he's trying to prove here now is to restore his coaching reputation and his legacy. He was the coach when Michigan got him. He, was 1 year removed from taking the 49ers to the Super Bowl. He was at the pinnacle of the coaching profession. Now, fast forward 6 years later, he literally is fighting for his coaching career here in 2021. That is what Ward Manuel is basically telling him is put up or shut up here. If you don't deliver results, trophies in the trophy case at Schembechler Hall, we are going to move on. And so that has to be a little humbling to him, but hopefully at the same time motivating. So, we will see what happens. I think now that this is out of the way, the tension for Jim Harbaugh and the whole football program is to work on putting a championship caliber product on the field. And that's going to be no small task. They are very young and have some major gaps in some areas. But I think it first starts with putting your coaching staff together. So let's talk a little bit about that. A couple of vacancies. Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, was let go 3.5 weeks ago. So there's an opening position as the defensive coordinator. All the speculation says it's a done deal to bring in Mike McDonald as the next defensive coordinator. So who is Mike McDonald? I didn't know either. Right now, he's the linebackers coach for the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, the John Harbaugh coach, Baltimore Ravens. So there's obviously a connection there between John and Jim. So he's the linebackers coach. A little about his background real quick. Doesn't have any playing experience. Doesn't have any play calling experience as a coordinator. So he's young, light on experience. So I think, from that perspective, it's probably taken on a little more risk than you want. If you're Jim Harbaugh, you got to win now. And so you want to do everything you can to increase your chances of doing that which means decrease in the risk you take and the probability of failure. And I think by bringing in somebody, who doesn't have that play calling experience, you're just increasing your risk and your chance of failure. So I think it's a dumb move. Maybe it's a move out of desperation because he couldn't find anyone else because he didn't have a contract. And anybody who has experience has better options than to come to Michigan, which would potentially maybe be for 1 year. If the year doesn't go well, Jim Harbaugh and all his coaches are going to be let go. So anybody who has experience, let's just say like a Will Muschamp, which I think would be a good fit, he's not going to come here. Why would he come here? I mean, it makes no sense. So I think you got to kind of reach down into the depths and pull someone out who's, maybe has some high ceiling, but is also risky. So hopefully it works out there with Mike Macdonald. Another vacancy is at the QB coach position. Beck McDaniels was let go. No surprise there. Who takes over? I haven't even heard that they're going to replace the position. Maybe Jim Harbaugh coaches that one again like he did his first couple years. They just haven't had good luck at that position. Pep Hamilton, Ben McDaniels, just, I don't know. Maybe Jim Harbaugh should coach that. I really have no opinion. So those are the two vacancies that, to my knowledge, on the coaching staff. They did add someone. They added Mike Hart. Earlier today, they announced that Mike Hart will be joining as the running backs coach. So Mike Hart, former player, all-time leading rusher, 4-0 against Michigan State, hence the little brother talk. Gets the rivalries, gets the tradition and all of that. He's young. He's got energy. I think he's a perfect hire for the staff. Brings in some youth and energy to the coaching staff. So I think it's a great hire on Harbaugh's part. The offensive coordinator position is not open. Josh Gaddis is the incumbent. But there's been some speculation that they bring in a co-offensive coordinator. And quite honestly, I think this is something that has to happen. I think this is the most important hire that needs to happen on the offseason, even more important than the defensive coordinator position. If you look at the college football, where it's going, you look at the two teams in the national championship, anybody who's competing for conference titles, they have an offense that hums. And right now, ours doesn't hum. Josh Gaddis has not delivered his speed and space promise that he talked about when he came here 2 years ago. No offense to him, but it's painfully obvious he is a little bit in over his head right now as offensive coordinator. More so, at least from what I see, on just the game day execution of a game plan. It's not cohesive. You look at, I hate to always point to Ohio State or Alabama because maybe that's not fair comparisons, but you look what Ryan Day and Steve Sarkisian are able to do. I mean, they're just masterminds from a play calling and game day execution. That's something that we need. Maybe it's not realistic to be at that level, but to get somewhere close, we need it. And it's pretty obvious Josh Gaddis just isn't there right now. Maybe he will be in the future under more experience, but we don't have the future is now. The future is next year. So I heard the name Joe Moorhead thrown around. He is the former Penn State coordinator, current offensive coordinator at Oregon. Reportedly has some issues with Mario Cristobal and maybe looking to make a move. So if we can get him, I say you get him. You pay the money and you get him. You really need to hit a home run hire in terms of bringing in someone else to help or help Josh Gaddis or maybe just replace him. So we'll see. So still some pieces of puzzle that need to come together here in the next couple weeks. So we'll see what happens. But that's really where you are if you're Michigan and you're the part of the football program. You're just working on filling in the coaching roster and hitting the transfer portal. Probably need to do that pretty hard here. I know your coaching staff isn't settled, so that's probably not helping that aspect. Can't necessarily reach out to a prospect if there's no coach in there. You're not going to be the coach, so I get that. But once the coaching staff is settled, you got to hit that hard, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You saw this year in our games, the 2-4 season. The defense, especially on the defensive line and linebackers, there is no depth, and even the players were out there were struggling. So I think the portal is the place where you got to go to fill in some gaps there on the defensive side of the ball. So that's kind of it for football. Well, let me just talk about the national championship game. So the season concluded on Monday in predictable fashion. Ohio State national championship, something that's happened 6 of the last 12 years. So, 24-point win. Always good to see your rival, Ohio State, lose. I thought it'd be a closer game, but there was just too many weapons on the Alabama offense, and Ohio State just didn't live up to the way they played against Clemson. That's really the key there. Ohio State didn't play as well as they did against Clemson, and Alabama played like they did the whole season. So not much to see there other than it was just a dominating performance. They deserved to win it. They were the best team all year, and congrats to them. So that kind of concludes that's the end of the college football season. I want to talk a little bit about basketball. As disappointing as football has been, Michigan has exceeded expectations. They're a perfect 11-0 to start the season. I think 4-0 in the Big Ten. They're coming off of a win against the top 10 Wisconsin team where they just crushed them. I think they were up like 67 to 27 or 34 somewhere with 15 minutes left in the second half or something. It was ridiculous. I think they went on like a 32-3 run at some point. And we're talking about a top 10 Wisconsin team. Michigan has won 3 straight games against ranked opponents where they beat them all by over 19, which is apparently the first time that's happened ever in NCAA history. So, what can you say about them? They've just exceeded expectations. It's been nothing short of incredible what Juwan Howard's been able to do in a short time here. He's just clearly instilled a winning culture. I can't say I watch every single game, every second of every single game. I probably watch half of them. I watched a little bit yesterday, and you can just see they're tenacious on the defensive side. They have scoring options at every position. Hunter Dickinson is someone who stands out. He's won the Freshman of the Year or Freshman of the Week award in the Big Ten like 5 times. I think I saw on Twitter, they should just name it after him. I thought that was kind of funny. And he's even getting talk about National Player of the Year recognition. So he's just, as a freshman, he's just been incredible. But it hasn't even just been him. Mike Smith, we're getting scoring production out of the point guard position. Isaiah Livers, Franz how do you say it? Franz Wagner. I screwed that up. But after a slow start, he's looked like a lottery pick. He's smooth out there. He's an incredible defender, and then he can shoot the mid-range jumper. He's always seemed to be coming off of a screen for a three. He shoots free throws well. You can go down the roster. It's just, you can't say enough positive things about this team this season. And so if you're a fan, you really got to reset your expectations. Coming in, you're probably I don't even think they were ranked in the top 25. I don't think they broke into the top 25 until I think they went 3 or 4-0. I don't know. So they weren't a top 25 team to start the year. So your expectations had to have been make the tournament. Compete in the Big Ten, make the Big Ten make the NCAA tournament and win a game or two, and that's a successful year. Now you're resetting your expectations. Where if you don't win the Big Ten, obviously there's a lot of season to play still, but the goal is to win the Big Ten. And as fans, and I'm sure as players, it'll be a disappointment if they don't. So that's quite incredible that expectations have shifted to that so soon. And not only going to want to win the Big Ten, but you're going to look at a high seed in the NCAA tournament, and expectations are kind of to win it all. I mean, if you continue on this trajectory, you're disappointed if you're not a national championship team. I mean, that's pretty amazing to say that those are the expectation. And year number 2 under Juwan Howard, where you have the number 1 recruiting class coming in next year. I mean, the rich get richer, I guess. I mean, I guess that's how it feels to be Ohio State or Alabama in football. Hey, it's early. Don't have any national titles yet. It's early, but it's exciting to talk about. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. Obviously, the Big Ten, a lot of tough teams in there, so there's a lot of tough games to play, but hopefully they can win the Big Ten. That'd be, I don't think Michigan has done that in a long time, at least. They probably have under Beeline. I can't remember. I know they won the Big Ten tournament a bunch, but I don't know how. I know the Fab Five never won the Big Ten title, so not outright. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to watch them keep playing, see what they can do. So maybe I'll post another video in a couple weeks with updates on the football coaching staff and then any updates to Michigan basketball. All right, that's it.